Hi folks, I'm Kelly with Chicago Movie Tours, and today's Walking Tour Wednesday is Chicago's Route 66 and Hollywood. Route 66 was established in 1926 and is one of the most famous roads in the entire United States. It originally ran from Chicago, Illinois to Santa Monica, California. And if you are taking Route 66, which many people still do today, you will go through 8 different states.
Can't help but wonder what's in store.
Thank you. Let's head to our first stop. We're going to make our way to Cicero, Illinois. And this is not technically a walking tour. I'm having to do a bit of driving here, so we'll just pretend that it is, though. I'll see you in Cicero, Illinois.
Another day.
We are now in Cicero, Illinois on a still relatively busy part of Route 66, and behind me is the Cindy Lyn Motel. Its purpose was simple: to attract visitors coming both to and from Chicago. As of April 2020, about a week ago, the famous triangular Cindy Lyn sign, which has been here since it was opened in 1960, has been getting a facelift. So unfortunately, we'll only get to see it in pictures today. So what are some of the movies and TV series that have helped keep the Cindy Lyn Motel alive? Well, Shameless, Chicago PD, and Empire. Over now to Berwyn, Illinois for stop number 2. Hope you're hungry for hamburgers. We are in Berwyn, Illinois, standing on the corner of Ogden and Harlem. And we're paying attention to the building that you see right behind me, the White Castle there. This White Castle is the first White Castle that was built on the entire stretch of Route 66. Now, it's not the first White Castle, but just the first one built on that entire road. So what are some of the movies and TV series that have helped keep this building alive? None really that I can find of, but the White Castle chain itself does appear most memorably in 2 films. Saturday Night Fever from 1977 and the 2004 stoner comedy Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle, which has been labeled one of the most egregious product placements in all of cinema history. So Berwyn along Route 66 is a relatively short drive, but there are a couple of side trips that people who travel Route 66 do take on a regular basis. So we're gonna head to those now. I am outside FitzGerald's in Berwyn, Illinois. This building was built in the early 1900s and has had several uses. It has been a hunting lodge, the headquarters for a sports team, a nightclub, and a pool hall, complete with its own fortune teller. The FitzGerald family bought this building in 1980 and turned it into a venue featuring live music. In March of 2020, the family sold the building to a new owner who plans to keep its name as well as its purpose as a live music venue. So what movies have been filmed on location at FitzGerald's? Well, for one, The Color of Money, starring Tom Cruise and Paul Newman. Of Their Own, starring Gina Davis and Tom Hanks. And Adventures in Babysitting, starring Elizabeth Shue.
Hi. My name's Chris Parker. I I live in Oak Park. That's a suburb.
They probably figured that out.
Let's continue our side trip through Berwyn, Illinois, and make our way to stop number 4, where a Bohemian Rhapsody awaits. We are standing excitedly outside a Walgreens in Berwyn, Illinois. Yeah, kind of a letdown, but that's not what used to be here on this spot where Walgreens now stands. What once was here was a 50-foot spike with 8 cars ranging in styles from the 1960s to the 1980s impaled upon it. The sculpture was created in 1989 by Dustin Schuler and has had several names: the Spindle, Car Kebab, and Cars on a Spike. It was torn down in May of 2008 and was estimated that it cost $300,000 for it to be demolished. But the good news is the Spindle still lives on in the movie Wayne's World, in the Bohemian Rhapsody scene. Going to leave our side trip to Berwyn, Illinois, and get back on the main road of Route 66 and make our way to Countryside, Illinois for some fun with chickens and anarchic comedy. So we have made our way back to Route 66 and we are now in Countryside, Illinois, the location of the Marx Brothers Chicken Farm. That's right, the Marx Brothers Chicken Farm. The Marx Brothers were born in New York, and the 5 Marx boys sang and performed as a vaudeville act before eventually making their way to Hollywood. In 1910, their mother thought that Chicago, which then served as America's railway hub, would be a more central location for traveling on the vaudeville circuit. So they moved the family to Chicago, and they lived here for about 12 years. So World War I was beginning, and the matriarch of the Marx family did not want her sons being drafted into the war. So she bought a farm and a farmhouse right here in Countryside, Illinois, because she heard that farmers who fed the nation would be exempt from the draft. If you're not familiar with the Marx Brothers, may I suggest this clip from their movie, A Night at the Opera.
Right over there in the corner. You can chop your way right through. Say, is it my imagination or is it getting crowded in here?
I got plenty of room.
Yes?
Is my Aunt Minnie in here?
Well, you can come in and prowl around if you wanna. If she isn't in here, you can probably find somebody just as good.
We have one more stop on Route 66 that will be in Willowbrook, Illinois, for a personal story about women and film. I'll see you there. Our final stop on today's Walking Tour Wednesday is Del Rey's Chicken Basket in Willowbrook, Illinois. It was established in 1946, and like White Castle, which we looked at a few moments ago, it's a perfect place for travelers coming to and from Chicago to get a quick bite to eat before they head back on the road. So are there any movies and TV series that have been filmed on location here that are keeping Del Rey's Chicken Basket alive on Route 66? And no, not really any that I can find, although I do have a personal anecdote. So in November of 2019, my husband and I ran by here to grab lunch, and seated next to us was a group of women bikers who oddly had a camera pointed on them the entire time and a boom mic hanging over their heads for the entire course of their dinner. At one point, a non-biker and her camera woman, who were eating with the bikers, came over to our table and asked if they could film our plates, basically, just a few shots of our food and us eating. There would be no close-ups or any part of our face being shown. So we said yes and signed a waiver. Come to find out, all of these women were taping sections for a documentary called Women of the Mother Road, Route 66. The Film and History Project seeks to change the cultural and historical narrative of Route 66, which has often overlooked the experiences of both women and girls. We are supposed to receive an email when the documentary is finished. So when that happens, I'll come back here and report back so that you can see a shot of my coleslaw and honey and biscuits. So that concludes this walking tour Wednesday of Chicago's Route 66 and Hollywood. If you keep heading down Route 66 from here, you will ultimately end up in Joliet, Illinois, and more specifically at Old Joliet Prison, the location of our last walking tour. So if you have not checked out that walking tour, I would encourage you to do so. I'll add the link to the video. And I will see you next week with another virtual walking tour. I'm Kelly with Chicago Movie Tours. Thanks.